Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm good, Daniel. Happy New Year. It's good to see you again.
Happy New Year. I hope your New Year is treating you well. I want to grab some of your time today because I know, like we mentioned, it's a new year. A lot of advisors are looking at their business in different ways, and a lot of them are considering villas. I want to ask you, from your point of view, for the advisors who maybe are new to the segment, who are the typical villa consumers? Who are the typical guests that might look at this product and think it's something that fits their needs?
Well, first off, I'll tell you the season has started off hot. So villas are definitely hot. We're very busy. Obviously, travel advisors are very busy. So we thank them for that. If someone's new to villas, I mean, the typical guest, honestly, Daniel, is just about anyone. Anyone that was really looking at multiple hotel rooms, perhaps, or multiple cruise cabins that wants to do something a little bit different. So couples going away together. Families are always good. Celebration travel really took off in 2023.
Yeah.
So families and friends going away to celebrate a 50th birthday, 60th birthday. So the options are limitless. It's really, we do have people that want one or two bedrooms, but that's the minority. The average villa booking is 5 bedrooms plus. So really, for an advisor to start thinking about a villa, is think about when you get above that one or two bedrooms. So you want to have one place and you're not sharing it, in a big resort environment with, thousands of other people. So you have a little bit more privacy, and we can create the experience that the guest is looking for, because we're far more than a villa rental company. We're a villa experience company.
Yeah, so if you customizable experience, if they need one or two bedrooms, groups is great, things like that. I'm curious, I mean, where you're sitting, where you're seeing the business now, and I know the business has grown for villas as a segment over the last few years, but
Yes.
what percentage of travel advisors do you think really are selling villas as a main part of their portfolio when they're talking to clients?
That's it's a really tough question. And I thought, and I'm thinking about that. I think in all the years I've been in this business, that 80-20 rule still seems to work. I bet
Okay.
you 20% of the travel advisor network is providing us with about 80% of the business that we see, but it is absolutely growing. And it's growing because not only do the independents see this, but the consortiums that are out there, the virtuosos, the signatures, the travel leader groups, are really focusing their advisors on these segments, such as villas. And the best part about it is the average commission is close to $3,000 per transaction. You compare that to some other things that are out there, and it's a really good way for people to make good commission. So I think while the overall number might be small, it is definitely growing, and that is, Daniel, no science behind that. I'm just looking at the totality of how many travel agencies are out there and how many travel
Yeah.
advisors are out there. And I'm just kind of going, I think it's probably the 80-20 rule.
All right. So I know it's growing, and I know with that growth, there has to come some new introductory conversations, things like that. And I know villas is a separate product than from home rentals, but home rentals the negative view of home rentals seem to be picking up steam. And I imagine there are some fears and misconceptions about villas from advisors and consumers too. And I was hoping you could talk to us a little bit about that. I mean,
Sure.
what are
Mhm.
the mistakes maybe people have in their mind when they're thinking about this kind of product?
Well, I think it starts from brand equity, okay? Because there's really no brand equity in the villa world, because every villa is owned by a different owner. Every villa is different. There's not a standard across the board. So if you go stay at a Ritz-Carlton, or a Four Seasons, you know what you're going to get no matter where it is in the world. So that it lacks that brand
Yeah.
equity, which makes it harder for an advisor. Now, we've tried to build the brand equity of villas of distinction, because what we do that's different than others is we don't want to have the most luxury villas. We just want to have the best product. So if you look at some of these consumer driven products, which is what creates the fear, obviously, in travel advisors' minds, is that they have 7 million homes that they don't even hide the fact that they've never stepped foot in a single one of them. We have just over 3,500 that we vet, inspect, and guarantee for quality. We stand behind everything we sell. We offer 24/7 customer care. And I'm trying not to turn this into a commercial, just answer the question. But
Yeah.
even more importantly, we're bonded and insured. We carry $5 million in cybersecurity protection. So all those things that you think when you think about someone who I don't really know much about them, we put out there. We put out there bonded and insured, financial integrity, standing behind the advisors. All of these things make a difference because, as you just said, there's a lot of negativity with villa rentals in the marketplace. And most of that negativity is created by those big do-it-yourself, consumer sites versus a much smaller, obviously, villa is a distinction. But the fact that we've been voted by travel advisors, 8 years running at the Travi Awards as the best villa company in the business. The fact that, we have been with all of these consortiums that I mentioned earlier, for very long periods of time, really speaks volumes about the quality of what we can bring to the travel advisor.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on, I want to talk again to that maybe that audience of advisors who are a part of that growth you're hoping to see this year,
Mhm.
next year, or maybe who have come on over the past couple of years. Destination wise, I know some destinations fit this segment better than others. So I was hoping
Mhm.
you can give us your opinion on what destinations you think is the best fit for villas, for those advisors who do have the clients, like we mentioned at the beginning of the call, but now we got to talk about destinations.
I mean, overall, I'll tell you the Caribbean is obviously the largest, and Europe does very well as well. Boiling that down, to particular spots, Jamaica and the Dominican Republic do very well because the value for the money there is excellent. Where you get a full staff, so chef, butler, laundress already included into the cost of the villa, plus the cost of the food and beverage in those particular destinations are significantly lower than in some of
Okay.
the other destinations. Other destinations, though, that are popular, obviously like Turks and Caicos, St. Martin, Barbados. In Mexico, it's Punta Cana and the Riviera Maya. In Europe, Italy still. I'm surprised the boot of Italy didn't fall into the water last year with so many people being in
Okay.
Italy. It was crazy, but
Yeah.
Greece was extremely popular last year. And we're seeing Spain and Portugal really pick up with advisors. So those would be the key areas. Obviously during the pandemic, domestic United States was very, very popular. We've seen obviously a slowdown in the domestic because obviously people are now getting out internationally, but domestic is still a great option for people that want to stay close to home.
So you mentioned something, and I want to ask because that sort of piqued my curiosity. I mean, you mentioned last summer with Europe, and I think every advisor who has business in Europe experienced that sort of overflow, and a lot of consumers who are over there experienced that the heat waves and the enormous crowds and the lack of inventory at hotels. Can you talk to us a little bit about, I mean, how does villas fit in that larger picture when there is a lack of inventory at hotels at these bigger destinations, these more popular destinations in Europe or elsewhere? I mean, can advisors look at villas as an alternative in those situations?
You know, I always like to say all boats rise in a rising tide and all boats sink when the tide lowers.
Yeah.
So, if the hotels are very busy, obviously, conversely, the villas are busy. The nice thing again about the villas is that it's, with resorts, everybody knows about resorts. People are booking resorts direct. And the villa product that we offer, is very much booked by the travel advisor community. So I think that creates the ability for us to have a greater sense of inventory available to them. I could tell you, for instance, like we own the management company in Italy. Our team scours Italy for more product that we can add to our inventory. We're never going to be an Airbnb though, Daniel. So we're always going to have that vetted and in smaller size of product. But I think, generally speaking, availability last summer, like you mentioned, where the hotels were very popular, it was very hard to find availability in Italy, for instance, because again, all boats rise in a rising tide.
Yeah.
So the destination was popular. It was extremely crowded, as I'm sure the travel advisors knew. We're seeing it strong again for next year, but I don't think we're going to see the peak levels, and the overcrowding like we did last year. I think it's still going to be very popular, but I don't think you're going to see the craziness and God willing, hopefully it won't be the type of heat wave that we saw
Yeah.
last year, but who knows? Listen, the best thing to do as a travel advisor, and I know I'm probably preaching to the choir of any travel advisor that knows about Europe, is, pre-summer and post-summer. September, October is absolutely gorgeous in Europe, as is, April and May, because the bulk of the business goes June, July, and August. So if you could get your client to consider going after August, September, like the last time I went was in October and the weather was spectacular, 70s during the day, less crowded, and it only went down to, maybe 50 at night. So, you had that nice, comfortable night where you just open up the window and let that cool breeze come in. So really recommend going then. And the same thing in the Caribbean and Mexico. I mean, if you can go off season, the value is incredible.
So I don't want to let you go before asking what's new at Villas of Distinction, but quickly, Steve, you talk about just the seasons and things like that. I'm curious if you had a recommendation for booking windows for travel advisors who are new to this segment. I mean, does it follow the typical FIT booking window about how far out in advance you need to be really looking at dates?
Again, the larger villas obviously book faster
Okay.
because there are less of the very large villas. Beachfront properties obviously book faster. Festive and any holiday period, you want to book as far out as possible. We're already booking 2024, 2025, festive, Christmas, New Year's, that whole thing. That's
Okay.
being booked now. I would be booking, if you want to have the most inventory to look at, I would be booking Europe now. Obviously, with the weather, I know the South, the Midwest, everybody got hammered this week, some with snow, some with water, with rain. So certainly that's going to drive people to want to get out of town. The average booking for us is holding at about 120 days prior, so about over 4 months ahead of time. But we are definitely, you will get more inventory choices and more options the further out you book. That's not to say we can't do last minute. I had one come in today for 2 weeks from today, and we'll certainly be able to help them. So I know I'm kind of like not honing in exactly on what you asked, but I mean, the sooner the better because it gives you more options.
Sooner the better. And then, so yeah, talk to us a little bit about what's new for Villas of Distinction in 24 and anything advisors should keep in their mind.
Well, we're always going to be coming out with bonus commission programs. So we've got one coming out in early February. And what's really nice about our bonus commission program, Daniel, is that we pay the bonus commission at deposit. So I know that's a big hot button within the travel industry as a whole. So the minute they make a booking and the minute they're deposited, that bonus commission is coming right to them. So they're getting immediate gratification. They don't even have to wait until final payment to get that bonus commission. So those come out. We do them various times throughout the year, and that will be coming out in early February. We're also continuing to look at adding more product in areas that clients are looking for. So, for instance, we just added quite a few villas in Tanzania, which we've never done before. We added Bermuda. We're now in Honduras. We're adding ski villas in Japan. They're not on our site yet, but they're coming very soon. And we're continuing to look at destinations and areas that advisors ask us about. So product will continue to grow. The services, we're always looking for more services, but at the end of the day, the bottom line is not going to change as long as I'm here, which I plan on being here for a while.
All right.
We don't want to have the most villas. We just want to have the best villas. And all I can say, Daniel, for that, make this a little bit of a commercial is please, travel advisors, tell us how we can help you. We do these lunch and learns once a month where we do a live remote from one of our villas. We're actually doing one today from Belize, so that we give these agents the ability to actually see the villa product. It's like a virtual fam trip. So we do those once a month. But I don't want to go because I know we have a short period of time. So all I want to say is, please, if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, just send me an email or call me. My email is my first initial and my last name at WTH.com. And I'm happy to help any travel advisor out there to help them grow their villa business. Daniel, thank you for all that you do for us. I don't know if that was the last question, but I did want to have the opportunity to say thank you. We really appreciate the support and how much you support the Travel Advisor Network, as well as supporting the vendors on our side. And we really appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah. And again, thank you, Steve, for your time. And again, Happy New Year. And I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Oh, I know it. Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.